Our Dateline hidden camera investigation is focusing on 2 Louisiana parishes where we've seen police stop people in their cars and interrogate them for seemingly any reason at all. And once they do, they have the power to take almost everything the motorist has on the spot. Why do police have so much power? That question still haunts one woman who learned what can happen when a sheriff's deputy takes the law and his power too far. Again, here's John Larson.
Karen Bryant had never been in trouble with the law. She was headed home to her 2 children after a week-long church convention when an unmarked car began following her.
What did you think it was?
I had no idea.
Didn't look like a police car.
No, it looked like a white sports car.
The man driving turned on a blue flashing light similar to this one and pulled her over. He was wearing a plain brown jacket and showed no identification.
And he walked up to the car and he said, "I'm police, roll your window down."
Karen had heard about the so-called blue light rapist who impersonated being a police officer. And now a man who had gotten out of an unmarked car was asking her to get out of her car.
I said, "Well, I'm not getting out of my car or rolling my window down until you show me some credentials." And at that point, he started screaming. I thought, he's not legit.
Yeah.
So I put the car in drive and took off.
Why were you running?
Because I thought he was going to kill me.
Karen Bryant did what women have been told to do in that situation: head to the nearest well-lit area. She sped to a gas station where she hoped to call police. But the man in the sports car caught her and tore her from her car.
And he threw me on the car and handcuffed me.
The man in the unmarked car turned out to be Sheriff's Deputy Dennis Fontenot, a 6-foot, 230-pound weightlifter who claimed Bryant had improperly changed lanes. And when Bryant threatened to call a lawyer,
He said, "If you're going to act like an ass, we're going to treat you like an ass."
they took Bryant to jail, where Deputy Fontenot ordered her strip searched. She says it was the most humiliating moment in her life.
The type of strip search they issued or ordered was a cavity search. I mean, I felt subhuman. I was being treated subhumanly.
Karen Bryant sued, and the sheriff settled the case out of court. Deputy Fontenot was fired.
Deputy Fontenot? John Larson from Dateline NBC News.
How you doing? Good. So why, when we caught up with him, was he still in uniform? Because he went to work for the neighboring sheriff, and now he's back on patrol.
Why was it necessary to handcuff her and strip search her?
I didn't strip search her.
Or ask for the strip search, I guess.
Talk to my lawyer, okay?
So how does a woman who just an hour earlier was on her way home from a church convention wind up fingerprinted, photographed, and jailed? All for something that supposedly began as a minor traffic violation: improper lane usage. Remember, improper lane usage was one of the same reasons police used to stop Cheryl Sanders and then seize her car.
Speeding up and slowing down, the line.
And it was the same reason deputies used to pull us over. And we weren't alone.
Improper lane change.
Improper lane change.
Improper lane usage. Improper lane change.
Dateline found hundreds of other traffic tickets, all saying the same thing: improper lane usage. A grandmother on her way home to Texas.
I was shook down. I felt all over my body. My things were gone through in my car and thrown on the ground. He implied that he would forget everything if I gave him a beautiful leather jacket I had inside there.
This woman was on her way to her sister's funeral when police stopped her, searched her car, not once, not twice.
3 times within 6 miles.
On the same day?
On the same day.
How long did it take you to go those 6 miles?
About 4.5 hours.
That's about a mile an hour.
Yeah.
You could have walked it faster than that.
Definitely.
All these improper lane changes, what's your suspicion on what's really going on?
Well, they're pulling them over because that given police officer thinks that if he gets this person pulled over, he's going to get lucky, and he's going to get money or he's going to get drugs.
If it sounds like police are on a fishing expedition, they just might be. Remember, under Louisiana law, police can keep much of what they seize. So out here on the highway, it may just be a numbers game. The more people police pull over, the more they're likely to seize. And improper lane usage That's vague enough to pull over just about anyone.
It's more law enforcement breaking the law than citizens.
This Louisiana cop says police are on a fishing expedition, targeting out-of-state drivers who are less likely to come back and fight police in court.
They get them out the car, search them, want to know how they got the watch or how they got the money in their pocket and go through their luggage, things like that.
And, says this officer, some Louisiana police illegally target drivers for the color of their skin.
There's a lot of minorities out there getting robbed.
Like these two Hispanic men, Evaristo, his son Jesse, and their friend Naú were taking almost $12,000 in cash from their jobs in North Carolina to their families in Mexico. It was all perfectly legal. Afraid of Mexican bandits, they hid their money, their life savings, in their tennis shoes. Levon Meads is their employer.
I wouldn't have been surprised if it had happened to him in Mexico, but I was very surprised. Shocked, disappointed, all those things that had happened in this country.
Police from the town of Sulphur stopped the men here, along Interstate 10, for speeding. They accused traffickers, even though there was not a trace of drugs, and even though the men had no criminal record. Police threw both men in jail, charging them with illegal use of U.S. currency, and they put Evaristo's 10-year-old son, Jesse, into foster care.
He's just a little boy, and I knew he was going to be terrified at being stopped, having his father carted off to jail.
During our 4 trips to Louisiana, we saw dozens of cars stopped. Most of the drivers were minorities. Civil rights lawyers in Louisiana have a name for this type of traffic violation. They call it DWH, driving while Hispanic. Evaristo and Naú hired Tom Lorenzi's firm to help try to get their truck and their life savings back. And that's when they discovered another astonishing aspect of Louisiana's forfeiture law.
You have to put up a $2,500 bond in order to go to court to have the opportunity to prove that you're not guilty of anything.
It took nearly 3 days for their employer, Levon Meads, to drive over 1,000 miles to Louisiana to help get the men out of jail and get Jesse out of foster care.
It's been very difficult on all of us. It really has. Everybody has been affected tremendously by this experience.
It took 3 months, but they got their truck and most of their money back. But they say their legal battle cost them more than $4,000, a third of their life savings.
The system is preying on people who are not truly capable of defending themselves.
I wasn't going to let them get away with it. It was wrong, and I had to do something about it.
Cheryl Sanders, the woman from California whose car was taken, also decided to fight back. She had to post a bond equal to the value of her car, $7,500, just to begin the process of trying to get her own car back. She took a bus back to Louisiana and hired an attorney. Her legal battle took 7 months.
I'm scared to death of this town.
But Cheryl won, sort of.
Well, here it is. And I'm so happy to see my vehicle. You wouldn't believe it.
She got her car back and went home to California.
See you, Tim. Thank you.
But her fight had been so expensive, she had to sell the car to pay off her legal bills. The only transportation she has left is a bicycle.
I can't imagine that this still happens in America. I just can't imagine it.
This is America, and I do realize that they have to do their job, but when they are acting worse than the people they're trying to arrest, there's something wrong.
Ricky Edwards is the sheriff of Jefferson Davis Parish.
Deputies are out there doing their job. The state police and most law enforcement are out there doing their job.
It was his deputies who stopped Karen Bryant, and they also stopped us.
Would it surprise you to know that your deputies pulled us over?
No, it wouldn't surprise me. I don't know. I wasn't there. If he said you were speeding, I would have to assume that you were speeding.
But we had 5 hidden cameras rolling that show we did not commit any traffic violation. We were just another out-of-state car passing through.
Are you insinuating that we're targeting out-of-state people? I can only tell you that we are not.
These 17 people find that hard to believe.
I drive around it. I now live in Georgia. I come to Austin, Texas to visit my daughters and grandchildren. I go north and then south.
You drive around the whole state?
That is right, and I shall never drive in the state of Louisiana.
We're not here to violate anybody's constitutional rights. We are waging a war on drugs.
If this is a war on drugs, it sounds like there are a lot of civilian casualties.
If that is happening, then I would definitely want to have that feedback, and I would definitely try to correct that.
Your deputies not only owe them an apology, they probably owe them their badges.
We'd have to look into that and see, yes.
If you're thinking all this might convince Louisiana to change the law, think again. Critics say police have too much money at stake.
How much money are we talking about?
Each year in this one jurisdiction where we are right now, it's about $3 million.
So how are police spending the millions of dollars to fight the war on drugs? They use some of the money to find white powder, all right, but it wasn't cocaine.
When we come back, our story takes another outrageous twist as we learn how many people stand to win, and win big, in Louisiana's war on drugs.